begin tonight with a new estimate of how much President Trump's spending and tax cut bill would cost and its potential impact on health care coverage. The Independent Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, projects that the bill would add $2.4 trillion overall to the deficit over the next decade. And it estimates that changes to Medicaid and other health coverage would leave nearly 11 million Americans uninsured by 2034.
The One Big Beautiful Bill, as it's called, would reduce federal government spending by nearly $1.3 trillion, and the CBO found that by extending President Trump's 2017 tax cuts, the bill would cut taxes by $3.75 trillion over the next decade. The measure awaits action in the Senate after it passed the House last month without Democratic support. Today, House Republicans shrugged off the CBO score.
Go back to 2017. You don't need to go back that far to see how wrong the CBO has been when it comes time to make prognostications on economic growth. They've always been wrong, and they've always ignored what tax cuts will do to grow the American economy.
Senate Democratic leadership, meanwhile, said there would be real-world consequences to people's health care.
People will fall through the cracks and get phased out of coverage in the coming years. Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
The CBO also released a separate analysis today about the impact of President Trump's tariffs. It projects current tariff policies would reduce the federal deficit by $2.8 trillion over the next decade, while also raising inflation and shrinking the size of the economy. That deficit savings is a bit more than the big spending and tax cut bill would cost. It comes as President Trump issued new tariffs on steel and aluminum overnight, doubling them from 25% to 50%. For more, we're joined by Babak Hafezi. He's an adjunct professor at American University's Kogod School of Business and CEO of Hafezi Capital. That's an international consulting firm. So President Trump announced these sweeping tariffs last week during a visit to Pittsburgh, catching a lot of people off guard. Help us understand the administration's rationale. Why move forward with this right now?
They're in the middle of negotiations, so this could be an item to bring through the negotiation process. It is also, he went to a place where development of steel is very, very high. So it was a very friendly audience. That's another element as well. But the rationale is ultimately tax collection. Tax collection is what matters. There's a tax package going through, and this adds to the dollar value that makes it positive.
And the Trump administration argues that these tariffs will help protect and grow the American steel and aluminum industry. Do they have that right?
Partially right. They will produce a certain level of jobs, but ultimately they make American companies uncompetitive globally. The price of American steel is the highest in the developing world, and ultimately we are not competitive. So for the domestic market, yes, we will own the domestic market, but beyond that, American corporations will have to buy corporations abroad to sell globally. It also creates a lot of a certain level of imbalances within the American economy, allowing inefficient businesses to be afloat for a longer period of time.
And so what does a 50% tariff on steel and aluminum, what does that mean for our trading partners?
Number one, it makes them very angry. They're not very, very happy about this. They're going to have retaliations, and they're trying to figure out a way to circumvent this. And most organizations will find ways to circumvent this. That's what they have done in the past. And the UK right now is the primary country available for that. It's the primary country that has a 25% tariff rate, and it allows for the transfers to happen through there if there are no quotas. But ultimately, the issue becomes how do you become viable in a market, and can you even get a part of the American economy as part of your business?
With so much uncertainty in the market generally, and then you add to that the really confusion caused by these tariffs. When you talk to business leaders around the world, what are they telling you?
They are very, very upset about the instability. There's a lot of volatility that's happening, and they do not know how to go ahead and engage and react, and they're reacting rather than actually strategizing. So it is actually hurting them. They're not investing for the long term. They're just trying to figure out what the administration is trying to do, and how they can actually react towards it in a positive way. And they know that the rules are going to change within weeks. So how do you create a system that is, temporarily working, but long term, you can actually make it much more viable for yourself as an organization?
So let's take a closer look at this new Congressional Budget Office score of President Trump's tariffs. It broadly aligns with other estimates, but doesn't include today's steel and aluminum tariffs. It projects a $2.8 trillion reduction in the deficit over 10 years. Inflation increases by 0.4% in 2025 and 2026. Changes will reduce the size of the U.S. economy, and it adds that all of these estimates come with significant uncertainty. What picture does all of this paint of the economy and the impact of these tariffs?
Most of the analysis was done based on current market trends. But obviously, when you have tariffs of 50%, 25%, and currently we're living in a tariff phase where it's about an average of 15.8% tariffs. So as you live with these tariffs, they start becoming almost like you start cutting yourself slowly and bleeding slowly. So obviously, economic conditions will not remain the same. Investments will decrease. Our partners will also have retaliatory actions, which will hamper American corporations that are selling abroad. So we should expect in the next year or two a decrease in GDP and also growth shrinking. So and tariffs eventually, having a smaller portion of the dollar value bringing in.
Babak Hafezi, thank you for your insights.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
We don't want them.
President Donald Trump has signed a new travel ban that will block people from several countries from traveling to the United States. It will fully restrict entry by nationals from 12 countries, including Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Eritrea, Iran and Yemen. And people from 7 other countries, including Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone and Venezuela, will be partly restricted.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them.
The administration cites a number of reasons countries were chosen for the ban, including a large-scale terrorist presence, failure to cooperate on visa security, and a persistently high rate of visa overstays. President Trump says more countries could be added to the travel ban list as new threats emerge. The ban is set to take effect this Monday.
Mr. President, on your new travel ban, why now? And if the Boulder attack was part of your reasoning, why not include Egypt on that list where the suspect is from?
Well, because Egypt has been a country that we deal with very closely. They have things under control. The countries that we have don't have things under control. And why now? I can say that it can't come soon enough, frankly. We want to keep bad people out of our country. The Biden administration allowed some horrendous people, and we're getting them out one by one, and we're not stopping until we get them out. We have thousands of murderers. I even hate to say this in front of the chancellor. Of course, you have a little problem, too, with some of the people that were allowed into your country. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It shouldn't have happened. I told her it shouldn't have happened, what she did. But you have your own difficulty with that, and we do, and we're moving them out, and we're moving them out very strongly. But it can't come fast enough. We want to get them out. We want to get them out now. We don't want to have other bad people coming into our country. By using the word bad, I'm being nice.
Elon Musk has not mentioned Donald Trump's name in his now nonstop attacks on the Trump budget bill, but Elon Musk is using his loud social media voice to urge Republicans to kill the bill in a steady stream of angry and bitter tweets. Elon Musk began his war against Donald Trump at 1:34 p.m. yesterday, saying in his most anguished Twitter voice, "I just can't stand it anymore," and he called the Trump budget bill a disgusting abomination. And as of tonight, Donald Trump remains cowering in abject, silent fear of Elon Musk. The proof that Donald Trump is terrified tonight after the richest person in the world turned against him is that Donald Trump has remained absolutely silent about Elon Musk's attacks on the Trump budget bill and Donald Trump. Now, when is the last time someone with a loud public microphone called Donald Trump or something Donald Trump was doing a disgusting abomination without being immediately attacked by Donald Trump? Remember, Donald Trump has attacked Taylor Swift for nothing. Donald Trump attacked Bruce Springsteen for something Bruce Springsteen said at a concert on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. And Donald Trump attacked Bruce Springsteen immediately. Donald Trump's rule of life, as he announced in the first book published in his name, which of course was ghostwritten for him, that whenever he is criticized or something he's doing is criticized, he always has to hit back harder. That's Donald Trump's rule. But Donald Trump dare not strike back against the richest person in the world. Maybe Elon Musk can push Donald Trump to that breaking point that Elon Musk himself reached yesterday at 1:34 p.m. when he screamed on Twitter, "I just can't stand it anymore." Donald Trump might get there, but Donald Trump has never, ever taken longer to get there as he maintains his fearful silence about Elon Musk. Elon Musk continued his attacks on Donald Trump and Donald Trump's budget bill beginning in the middle of the night at 2:07 a.m. when Elon Musk said it more than defeats all the cost savings achieved by the Department of Government Efficiency team at great personal cost and risk. Now, there's Elon Musk reminding us of his complete failure to cut trillions of dollars of federal spending that he claimed he was going to cut, and then asking for our sympathy at how much it personally cost him in lost Tesla customers and dropping Tesla stock prices when America and the world turned against Elon Musk as he played the role of Donald Trump's executioner. The world turned against Elon Musk with Tesla sales dropping around the world, while Elon Musk was deciding to take food away from starving babies, from starving children, from starving people of all ages who depend on famine relief from the United States Agency for International Development, which Elon Musk personally decided to destroy. And Elon Musk now wants us to feel sorry for him about the cost and the risk that he suffered while being Donald Trump's executioner. 7 minutes after that tweet, at 2:14 a.m., Elon Musk tweeted, "This immense level of overspending will drive America into debt slavery." No, it won't. But it is more debt than the country has ever had. And 14 minutes after that, at 2:28 a.m., Elon Musk attacked Donald Trump and his budget bill again, saying interest payments already consumed, that his budget-cutting mission has not just completely collapsed. It has been completely overrun by the Trump budget bill, which the Congressional Budget Office said today will increase the national debt by $2.4 trillion. Now, imagine how deep Donald Trump's fear is that when he couldn't stand it anymore today and he had to tweet something about Elon Musk attacking him for 24 hours, Donald Trump's attack, the only thing Donald Trump dared to tweet, was an old Elon Musk tweet with no comment at all. And 2 minutes before Donald Trump tweeted that old Elon Musk tweet, Elon Musk tweeted a new one telling the Republicans they needed a new bill. And 6 minutes after Donald Trump's tweet, Elon Musk tweeted another new one. No one who actually reads the bill should be able to stomach it. That means you, Donald Trump. And then 44 minutes later at 2:50 p.m., Elon Musk tweeted, "Call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill." And it didn't take long for the childish mind of Elon Musk, seeing the words kill and bill so close together, to just turn that into a movie poster version in his next tweet 8 minutes later, using the title of the movie, Kill Bill. The congressional...
Not upset about this.
No, he's not upset about it. He doesn't look upset about it. Why should he be? He was a junior member of the House who got catapulted into the speakership from obscurity after a coup. He gets the biggest office in the Capitol. He gets a bigger paycheck than the other House members. He gets Secret Service protection. He's second in line for the presidency in the line of succession. Why would he be upset that Elon Musk is trying to destroy his disgusting abomination and won't return his calls? Mike Johnson's lucky to be there. So, of course, Mike Johnson's not upset about it.
I'd love to talk to him this week and hope he calls him back today. I talked to President Trump, all the time, multiple times a day. Obviously, we've talked about this. As you know, he's not. Elon did a 180 on that.
Okay, so we got it. So Trump, easy to get on the phone several times a day. Musk won't return the call of the Speaker of the House. So there's the Speaker of the House wandering the halls of the Capitol, sounding like a high school kid on a tour, saying he really hopes the richest person in the world calls him back today or someday. And here's what the richest person in the world did after Mike Johnson said that. Elon Musk took that video of Mike Johnson saying, I hope he calls me back today, and he put it in his tweet at 2:05 p.m. saying, no one who actually reads the bill should be able to stomach it, which means no one should be able to stomach what they heard Mike Johnson say in that video.
The Trump traffic economy partylands and the political. Last week, former President Donald J. Trump visit address real work with the federal and massive reveal American manufacturing standard before a crew in a heart on the steel of very important, the steel backbone on the America never right to but attack like to national identity, not viral chip, no major headline. But this week, and Trump made it official on Truth Social, the traffic are coming. Our aluminium import will also be target. Trump post as repeat with Paul Pride and with the help particularly like he wrote on the going to protect our honor manual and on Rusty the message clear archon weapon in the but weapon direct the traffic political more political threats and their sound economy take. If it is someone along the glue and the stain product, it also major industry like employees for this American stability and the Trump never employs to this years and the political red line and recognize in this visual the 50% traffic the aluminium for this attracting to this break and shaping for the communities of offshore job traffic or not. In fact, what do the traffic will not arise to crowd the broad for the industry and customized steel or aluminium or fundament made and the applicable or even back to high home policy. More expensive vehicle and price customized good every event to thought there will be more thankful to more costable no against and the theory economy studies for the first short term aluminium traffic recognize significance and not continue for manufacturing provide mean keys allies the US traffic relationship and the underdetermined globe and spawn and China the traffic the cut off America economy vehicle of spite toward to from the budget important and the service for this appear to like factories and important complex gold trades and this appear to like and things. This is the global trade realized to manufacturing more to analyze the 4 month the traffic theory the already showing to significance and string to things. Thanks for watching our video. Please like and subscribe my channel.
France to deploy new patrol boats to intercept migrant taxi boats within 300 meters of coast in Channel crackdown. France has agreed to a major policy shift that will allow its border forces to intercept A small migrant boats commonly referred to as taxi boats within 300 meters of its coastline. A move aimed at curbing the number of channel crossings to the UK. Until now, French patrols could only intervene once boats were already at sea, due to legal concerns over criminal liability and international maritime law. However, with mounting pressure from the UK and in anticipation of the Franco-British summit on July 8th, where President Emmanuel Macron will visit London, French authorities plan to introduce 6 new patrol vessels and deploy a special unit of enforcement officers to stop boats before they launch. A source from the French Interior Ministry confirmed that the country is working to revise its maritime doctrine to enable action in shallow waters. While still adhering to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, Montego Bay Convention, this change comes amid a surge in crossings. 11,074 migrants reached the UK from January to April 2025, compared to 7,567 in the same period last year. The UK government, which has already helped prevent 9,000 crossings this year, sees this as a step forward, but warns that real impact may not be felt until 2026. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said she is urging French officials to finalize their review and begin implementing the new measures as quickly as possible.
A Guatemalan national who a federal judge had ordered the Trump administration to return to the United States has now arrived back on U.S. soil. This is the first known instance of this administration bringing back under court order a non-citizen it had deported. MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin joins us now to break it down. Lisa, what more do we know at this hour? This is just breaking as we've come back.
It's just breaking. One of his lawyers, and I should tell you, Simone, the gentleman who's at issue here, we don't even know his name. He only goes by his initials, OCG, and the federal lawsuit that led to his being brought back to U.S. soil tonight. One of his lawyers telling NBC News that he landed in the U.S. a few hours ago, contacted his legal team, although he does expect to be returned to federal custody.
Breaking news. Trump authorizes the largest U.S. air assault against Russian bombers ever recorded. This isn't a drill. This isn't a simulation. For the first time, U.S. fighter jets were cleared for direct engagement against Russian long-range bombers in contested airspace. Sources confirm over 40 Russian Tu-95 and Tu-160 bombers were detected near NATO borders. Multiple Su-35 escorts were flying aggressive intercept patterns. U.S. F-22s, F-35s, and B-2 bombers were scrambled under full combat rules. This is the largest direct air operation between U.S. and Russian forces since the Cold War. And here's where it gets terrifying. The rules of engagement were changed. Trump gave green light for full neutralization strikes if provoked. The world came one step closer to a direct U.S.-Russia shooting war. Multiple Russian bombers were forced to turn back after intense electronic jamming. But every analyst is saying the same thing now. The next incident may not stop at warnings. This isn't about Ukraine anymore. This is about global air supremacy and who blinks first. Drop your thoughts below. Are we heading toward the first true U.S.-Russia war in the sky? Breaking news. Trump authorizes the largest U.S. air assault against Russian bombers ever recorded. This isn't a drill. This isn't a simulation. For the first time, U.S. fighter jets were cleared for direct engagement against Russian long-range bombers in contested airspace. Sources confirm over 40 Russian Tu-95 and Tu-160 bombers were detected near NATO borders. Multiple Su-35 escorts were flying aggressive intercept patterns. U.S. F-22s, F-35s, and B-2 bombers were scrambled under full combat.
No wonder Trump appointed a TV host as a prosecutor. A statement from the president of Harvard University revealed the truth. Recently, Jeanine Pirro was sworn in as the acting federal prosecutor for Washington, D.C. in the Oval Office. To secure her position, Trump first appointed one of the 5 hosts to take over her new position. When reporters ignored Pirro, Trump cheered her. Originally thought she was a rare talent, but who would have thought that Pirro had not practiced law for nearly 20 years, nor had she held a government position. She had only been a TV host and writer before. Do you know why Trump chose her? In fact, it may have something to do with Harvard University. When Trump announced the freezing of Harvard University's $22 billion in funds and the cancellation of its 6,700 international students' admissions, Harvard University President Alan Garber did not choose to give in like Columbia University, but immediately sued the Trump administration. This aroused Trump's competitive spirit. Pirro has appeared in the media for a long time and can use her influence to create a favorable public opinion environment. Do you think she is suitable for this role?
Breaking news, the Congressional Budget Office just released a new estimate on the sheer cost of the president's big sweeping tax bill. It comes with multiple Senate Republicans now heading to the White House this afternoon amid divisions in the ranks. And as the president's former right-hand billionaire, Elon Musk, breaks with the White House over this bill. Breaks big time, calling it an abomination. So, Jake, we just got this new nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office report talking about the economic impact of this mega bill. What are the top takeaways?
Not good for House Republicans. Let's start with that, Anna. It's a $2.4 trillion. It's not a great number for them. Republicans, and in this closed meeting just a couple minutes ago, House Republicans were talking down the CBO, saying their estimates are always wrong and they don't agree with them. Whatever the case is, this is the number that is public. This is the number from the official nonpartisan budget keeper, scorekeeper of Capitol Hill, of Congress. Now, later today, most likely, and maybe not later today, but at some point in the future, we will see numbers on the number of people that will go uninsured in this package. There are cuts to Medicaid, there are cuts to all sorts of health care elements in the federal government. So that's going to be another bad number for House Republicans. But listen, there is, I keep thinking back to this, there's a fog of war element to this, to how Republicans feel right now. They are trying to get this bill into law. They are trying to ignore all of the outside noise, good, bad, indifferent, and just trying to charge toward that July 4th deadline to get this across the finish line. Now, we all know that the ultimate judgment will be in November of next year when Republicans are up for re-election, when everyone's up for re-election. The House is in play once again. But this is the kind of stuff they'll have to contend with. Really bad numbers from the CBO and them trying to say the CBO is just nonsense.
Breaking news. Donald Trump just issued a direct threat to FIFA, promising devastating consequences if the 2026 World Cup is not held in the United States. In a shocking statement, Trump declared, if the World Cup doesn't happen in the U.S., I'll suspend all support to FIFA and impose sanctions on every country backing this betrayal. We could lose our global sports dominance, but it's too late. FIFA has already made a historic move. The tournament will no longer be hosted in the U.S. Why? Thousands of players, coaches, and fans refuse to travel due to Trump's immigration policies. Even with valid visas, many feared arrest or deportation. The international backlash was overwhelming, with several nations threatening a boycott. FIFA chose Mexico and Canada instead, citing safer, more humane conditions. Trump has not only lost the biggest event on the planet, but may have tarnished America's global image. Is this the beginning of his downfall? Comment and share this now.
Breaking news, Russia just issued the boldest warning yet. If the U.S. keeps interfering, prepare for World War III. That's not a metaphor. That's a direct quote from a top Kremlin official. It came just hours after U.S. lawmakers approved a new $60 billion military aid package to Ukraine and after American-made weapons reportedly struck deep inside Russian territory. Now, Moscow is furious. They're accusing the U.S. of turning Ukraine into a launchpad for global conflict. And Russian state TV, they're showing maps of American cities within reach of nuclear strikes. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is on alert. NATO is quietly shifting forces, and D.C. is debating whether more support means more security or pushing us to the edge of something no one can control. So here's the question. Is Russia bluffing? Or is the world one wrong move away from a catastrophe? Comment below. Are we heading toward a new Cold War or something even worse? Breaking news, Russia just issued the boldest warning yet. If the U.S. keeps interfering, prepare for World War III. That's not a metaphor. That's a direct quote from a top Kremlin official. It came just hours after U.S. lawmakers approved a new $60 billion military aid package to Ukraine and after American-made weapons reportedly struck deep inside Russian territory. Now, Moscow is furious. They're accusing the U.S. of turning Ukraine into a launchpad for global conflict. And Russian state TV, they're showing maps of American cities within reach of nuclear strikes. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is on alert. NATO is quietly shifting forces, and D.C. is debating whether more support.
Well, we have some breaking news. President Trump announcing he has just spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He wrote this on Truth Social. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. Those were those Ukrainian attacks on the airfields with the drones. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And on this, I believe that we were in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion, the president continued, that Iran has been slow walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. A few interesting notes here. First, just yesterday in Istanbul, you had the Ukrainian side meet with the Russian side, and they were talking about swapping injured soldiers, but they admitted there is no immediate end of peace in sight, an immediate ceasefire. Not only that, we know that Russia is a close ally of Iran. They partner together strategically, militarily. So any assistance on that front could push Iran perhaps into an agreement. So two interesting notes there. And Ari, this all comes against the backdrop of President Trump saying, I'll know in 2 weeks whether Putin is serious. And he said that about a week and a half ago. So this development coming as he's really prodding Putin to push towards peace.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like there's going to be any prospect of peace between Ukraine and Russia. If there were, if the president had any inclination from President Putin that there was something encouraging, we'd have seen it in that Truth Social. Its absence speaks volumes. Look, I think the only way to get peace between Ukraine and Russia is for Ukraine to continue to bring the war into Russia. That strike against the 40 Russian long-range bombers was instrumental in telling the Russian people and the Russian government there's a cost to you for continuing your attacks in Ukraine. You need a stalemate in order for two parties to come to a peace terms. Right now, there's been an imbalance until this recent Ukrainian attack inside Russia. I don't know if the Ukrainians can sustain it, though. And if you're Russia, you might want to just continue to keep the attacks going because you think you can win. That's why I think this was very risky for President Trump to think he could be the peacemaker. America's strong. President Trump is strong. But we can't do everything around the world. And I think if Russia and Ukraine won't make peace, we can't do it for them.
Kayleigh, interestingly, in the middle of that Truth Social, is President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. I'm sure that caught the ear of Zelensky.
Absolutely. And I think that one thing to Trump's credit is we have full confidence that both Putin and Iran, all these other countries that he's dealing with, know for a fact that Donald Trump is not messing around. I think what's happening here is Putin is deliberately testing the bounds to see how far he can push Trump, how far he can push this administration before receiving a really harsh rebuke. But Donald Trump is not messing around. And I think that these countries know that. The American people know that. And that's why they elected him to handle our foreign policy.
Yeah, and Laura, this comes against the background of the Hill. The Russia hawks are meeting today. It's a bipartisan group. It's Blumenthal and Graham about potential sanctions on Russia. You know, notably, I always point out President Trump on his watch, you did not see Putin go into sovereign territory. You did see that with his predecessor. You saw that with President Biden. There was an absence for years. So there is a respect there that could be leveraged by President Trump.
Yeah, and he's talked about that, too. You know, we didn't see the issue in the Middle East. When Donald Trump was in the White House, we didn't see an issue with Russia, in large part when he was in the White House. I interviewed last week on my show General Keith Kellogg, who is a special envoy to Russia and Ukraine. And when he was talking about the discussions that have been had, that he was privy to between these two countries, he says Ukraine is very clear on what their parameters are, where they are, and what it would take for them to come to a peace agreement. Russia is not. He said they will not actually give us any framework to use. And so I think that's the needle that President Trump is trying to thread. If there's anyone who can thread that needle, if there's anyone, to Kayleigh's point, who can tell the rest of the world, I mean business, and they know he means business, it's President Donald J. Trump. And I'm still hopeful that we're going to see peace.
Keith Kellogg is the perfect person to talk to, Emily, because there's the public conversation where President Trump is broadcasting one message. The private conversation with the world leader is very, very different. And sometimes we've seen that spill over in Oval Office meetings we've covered here. But how he talks to Putin, I know from talking to Kellogg, It's going to be in a tough manner. Kellogg has stories about him picking up the phone, talking to the Taliban, to Baradar, saying, do not harm the head on an American troop. And thereafter, many, many months, not a single American troop was harmed. Those kinds of hard conversations are the hour-and-a-half ones that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think we've caught glimpses of that in the public eye of exactly who the president is. He's the same off air as he is on air. And I think while that may have surprised members of the public, it doesn't surprise those who look at him with respect and value the fact that he is authentically himself in every conversation. I'm grateful that you pointed out the Ukraine point, because I think specifically that Putin apparently talked about sort of a retaliation. And I point that out that Ukraine bombed them because they were the ones that were invaded. This is an oversimplification, but it seems to me that Putin is sort of interested in an eye for an eye at every point of the way, because to your point, Putin sees Ukraine as his territory. Like nothing less than subsuming it back within his borders will suffice, because to him, that's a loss. That was a lost territory this entire time. He sees it as not sovereign. So I'm not quite sure if that approach and that perspective that Putin has is something workable on the Ukrainian side, because it's like football penalties. I mean, he's like, oh, I have to get them back for this. Wasn't it enough that you invaded? But clearly it's not. So tough road ahead. I agree that my faith is in our president to get it done if it's possible, but I think we still have a rocky road ahead.
This is also where I question President Trump's ability to influence these events, because President Putin does not care. And we, as Americans, we don't have much leverage over Russia. We're adversaries of Russia for the most part. We don't do a lot of commercial trade with Russia. So we don't have the leverage we have in other places that President Trump can use. So I think this is a lonely mission for President Trump, and he's going to quickly come to the realization Putin's not listening. America doesn't have a lot of leverage. There are other priorities for the United States around this world.
And he also said last week that something is off with Putin. Something is different about Vladimir Putin. So I'm wondering if that's playing into this as well. Maybe it's a different Vladimir Putin than he dealt with the first term in office.
Or it's the same Vladimir Putin who's always been.
And Putin, it's worth noting, I know that all eyes are on Ukraine, but he is constructing on the border of Estonia. They call that the edge of the free world, because that's where you start to get into NATO territory. Does he have designs beyond Ukraine? Let's certainly hope not, but we'll see. More outnumbered in a moment.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead.
The United States launched a targeted operation against that compound.
They did a lot of shooting, and they did a lot of blasting, even not going through the front door. You know, you think you go through the door. If you're a normal person, you say, knock, knock, may I come in?
After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
He died like a dog.
But his death does not mark the end of our effort.
A beautiful dog. A talented dog.
We give thanks for the men who carried out this operation.
And I don't get any credit for this, but that's okay. I never do. But here we are.
May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
And I'm writing a book. I wrote 12 books. All did very well.